Hey everybody, it's Men Cry in the Car podcast episode what? 16. Yay, we're so excited. Okay, so if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, share, get this out, get it out, get it out, get it out to all the men today. Guess what? You guys have been waiting on this interview. Me too, actually. But when you heard that my special guest was going to be on, everybody was saying, "What is he like? Who is he? Oh my God, you have him." So, without further ado, you guys, you already know what I'm about to do. I can't do it like him, but I will say it like this. Tim Ross is in the building. Everyone, let's go.
I love it.
Hey,
I love
there you
it.
are.
I love it. You did a great job. That's a great intro.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I already told you, but once again, sir, thank you for being here.
It's
I
my
know you are
pleasure.
super duper busy, and thank you for it being your pleasure. I know you're super duper busy. I watch you all the time.
Thank you.
So I just
That
want
means
to
a
say
lot.
thank you for being here. It means a lot
Absolutely.
for you being here. So I found you about a year and a half ago, and I didn't know who Tim Ross was. But after I found you, I was like, why have I not known this man? Like I didn't even know you were a pastor. It like in my home state, really, my hometown, just didn't know. And then I found out like you were there for years, and then at the Potter's house, I was like, oh my god! But things happen when they're supposed to happen.
For
So when I
sure.
found
Absolutely.
you a year and a half ago, I was just like, oh, you can be yourself
Mm,
and you can love Jesus. I was like, that's what's up. That's what's up.
yeah.
So just to give you like context with that, I find myself like you are like the male me because the way I speak and the
Yeah.
way I have whole conversations, and then also loving the Lord, I was just like, this, thank you, Lord. Like it's just perfect to see it. So even though I found you a year and a half ago, when I tell people who you are, some people say, the pastor? Is that the pastor that used to be? I was like, he doesn't have that title anymore. So would you
Yeah.
please let the people know who you are? Like you say on your podcast, like present to others, like
Yep.
reintroduce, but could you please let the people know?
Yeah, for sure. You a dweller for real. First of all, let me say, Lynn, I'm so grateful to be here with you. And thank you for creating this space for men to be able to talk and to be vulnerable um, and to share their stories. There's power in stories. And the more people that are doing things like you're doing, the more we can normalize vulnerability for the world. And that's really what I'm after. And so I'm originally from Southern California. I was born in Inglewood in 1975. And I have loved um, the trajectory of my life. It hasn't all been good, but it has all been a product of my passion, creativity, love, all of that kind of stuff. So, came from a great family. My parents uh, worked in LA. My mom worked for the LAPD. My dad worked for the U.S. Postal Service, 30 years and 33 years respectively. And then they came back to start a church when I was 12 years old. That's the church that I grew up in, and the church that I ultimately gave my life to Jesus in. Um, I have Uh, I was sexually abused when I was 8 years old, and so that was a huge uh, impact on my life. That trauma carried on through my adolescence, into my teenage years, into my adult life. I was exposed to pornography at 12. Um, Porn and masturbation became like my coping mechanism. That I mean, it could have been cocaine, could have been cigarettes, could have been weed, could have been drugs, could have been alcohol, but it was that. And then promiscuity, you know, when you're sexualized at a young age, it just completely disorients you. You don't know which way is up. So, um, my mom actually caught me looking at porn when I was 19 years old, right? And so this should have been like the most embarrassing day of my life. But because she was such a loving person, um, we I got the strength, and I know it was the Holy Spirit, but I wasn't a believer in Jesus yet. But I know it was the Holy Spirit that gave me the strength because I know it wasn't me. I went into the room and I actually told her why I was looking at porn because I knew why. I knew it. I knew that porn was the fruit. I knew it wasn't the root, but I
Mm-hmm.
had never been cornered to actually have to talk about it, right? Because obviously, porn is a secret vice that you don't really publicize.
True.
So I told her, and she has so much empathy for me in that moment. And it was really the 8-year-old boy in a 19-year-old body that got to finally
Mm-hmm.
tell mommy where it hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
my mom starts crying. We wake up my younger brother. My younger brother had been abused by the same guy. It was an older teenage boy in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Um, and then my mom then calls a family emergency. My dad historically worked nights, and so my dad comes home from work. It's got to be 3 o'clock in the morning now, and I'm me and Miles are sharing what we went through, and then my mom shares that she was abused as a child. Then my
Mm-hmm.
dad shares that he was abused as a child, and
Mm-hmm.
in one night, what should have been filled with like shame and like a lot of condemnation, there was freedom.
Yeah.
All I remember, Lynn, was like I could breathe deep again after that night. Like it felt like a 2,000 pound slab of concrete came off my chest and I could breathe
Yeah.
again. And
Yeah.
I didn't really know like what to attribute it to in that moment. All I remember thinking to myself was, yo, I ain't gonna ever have a secret again as long as I live.
Correct.
I was like, I'm not going that 11 years of silence. I'm not about to be duct taped again for the rest of my life. So
Absolutely.
um within a year, I gave my life to Jesus. Like that was the only thing that was kind of hindering me from accepting him was like this secret and feeling like I can't. I was too much shame. Jesus ain't gonna love me. Like, why would I give my life to Jesus? Whatever. And
Yeah.
I gave my life to Jesus, and I was like, oh, it's on and cracking. I'm about to tell everybody about this. And that's been my life for like the last 28 years
Yeah.
is I want people to be free from like secrets and I want them to be vulnerable and I want them to have safe spaces where they can talk. And I did not know that my trajectory through church was going to be met with so many people in church that would be saying, yo, that's TMI.
Correct.
You can't be saying all that, you know, or you need to say it in a different way, or you need to keep that private, and not everybody don't need to hear all that. And I don't know when I started this, Lynn, but I started telling people at some point, just just being I wasn't being petty, but I would say I
Mhm.
was being witty. It might have been petty a little bit, but I
A
was
little.
like, when they started saying, I got sick of them saying it's TMI. So I started correcting them. I'm like, that ain't TMI, that's TIM. That's who I am. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And these stories, I have too many people that come up to me after I share a story like this saying,
Yeah.
yo, I really appreciate you saying this. This happened to me. And sometimes it wouldn't even be like somebody else got abused, but they would
Right.
just be like, you know what? I came out of domestic violence, or I was a pathological liar,
Yeah.
or I was on drugs. But when
Yeah.
you share your story, first, you give people permission to go second. And I fell in love with giving people permission to
Mm.
go second.
Correct.
I became very used to going first. And so um I had no idea that I was going to be able to do it in this season of my life. Like
Mm-hmm.
specifically, this is all I do.
Mm-hmm.
But yo, once that podcast popped off, it was a wrap.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
here we are.
and so we here, and I'm just over here smiling because I know so much about what you've shared on the basement. I'm just like, yes, let the people know. I
Yep.
just think about because like when you say vulnerability and transparency are a superpower, and that was like one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. But the reason why I want to bring that up is because when I became a counselor 23 years ago,
Hmm.
next year in January it'll be 24 years.
That's
But when
awesome.
thank you. When I became a counselor, I became a counselor because when I was little, I was searching for someone to help me, and I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? Let me just become the person I needed to be, for other people.
Facts. Yeah.
And yes, in the beginning, I was just like, I want to be a savior because, again, you heard what I just said. But then as time went on, I was like, no, it's more than that. It's more like I am a resource. I am there to help.
Yep.
But I will always tell my clients, I was like, hey, being transparent is great. Being vulnerable is great. I said, those are your superpowers. And then
Mhm.
when I heard you start saying, I was just like, see, he gets it. Like he
Wow.
gets it because again, there's nothing anyone can say about me. So I told you I was a victim of sexual abuse as well. I grew
Mhm.
up in a household where my father was very abusive to my mom. So before I was even born, like he had already tried to take her life at least 3 times that I know of. That I know
Yeah.
of. So
Yeah.
when I came around, I was like, because he started abusing me at the age of 1.5.
Mm.
And it stopped when I was third grade. So it was like 7 years, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Just like you said, if I tell my story, then I'll let somebody go second. When I started exposing that years ago, it wasn't when I was small, but when
Mhm.
I started exposing that, I just felt so free. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what? I'm never closing my mouth because I thought my voice was stolen. What I
Yes.
found out, Tim, it was just muted.
Yes.
And I was just like, what the hell? Like, I'm taking the mute off and I'm speaking.
That's
So,
right.
like, when I tell people, like, I understand how it feels when you want to keep it to yourself. Like, I get all that. I get
Yeah.
all of that. However, when you open your mouth and you say what it is, like, there's no more shame, there's no more
Yeah.
secrets, there's no denial, like, all of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just with that story, just so with it.
But I love what you just said. You made a distinction for me that's very, very helpful. The difference between s- being stolen and something being muted. Because and this it's actually going to help me um in the way I articulate this. I don't think I've used the verbiage voice was stolen, but
Hmm.
I've talked about how the fact that when a person is abused, no, I think I've used the verbiage stolen, and I'm gonna switch to muted because stolen implies I need the person who stole it to give it back.
Thank you.
And I promise you, it wasn't until you just said it that the light bulb went on. Like, oh yeah, like nah, it came back. I just needed to unmute myself. They hit the mute button, but I'm the remote control.
Thank you.
I can
Thank
press
you.
unmute and I can start talking whenever I want. So
Thank you.
you just helped me with language because I think I've been using it because that's kind of like the common vernacular that we use
Correct.
for
Correct. Hmm.
people that are survivors. Like your voice was stolen,
Yeah.
but you're right. I'm a literalist,
Mhm.
so that's why this is like an aha for me. I'm like, oh no, literally, it wasn't stolen because I would
Exactly.
need that abuser to give it back,
Thank you.
and that would give them power. They don't have the power. I actually
They
got the
don't.
power.
Thank you.
Okay, girl, you just helped me. I
So
appreciate
yeah, you're
you.
welcome. And
I'm
that's what
glad
I'm
I came
saying.
on your show.
Yeah,
Because I sure didn't
you
get it
did
on
right.
mine.
And that's the thing. And so when I say that to people, it frees them. They're like, it wasn't stolen. I said, how could it be? I said, you're using
Yeah.
it. You're
Ooh.
using it. Yeah.
Ooh, that's too
So
good.
that's the thing. That is the thing. So I do want to go into vulnerability and transparency, like
Yeah.
how they became your superpower.
Yeah. So I read it when I gave my life to Jesus, two things happened, right?
Okay.
Firstly, I read the Bible. I started from Genesis 1 and I just worked my way to the beginning of it to the end.
Hmm.
And once I read it straight through, I realized something. The Bible has zero chill in the retelling of the humanity, the
Yeah.
humans that were actually trying to interact with God and God trying to interact with them.
Yeah.
There's zero chill.
Yeah.
There are no redactions.
Hmm.
There are no flowery words to cover up stuff. The words moral failure ain't in there. the words the words fall ain't in there.
Right.
Uh Indiscretions. It was like this nigga sins. Well, they didn't say nigga, but I'm just
But they
saying.
meant that. But
Yeah,
they
yeah,
meant
yeah. I'm from LA, so this just the way I interpret it, right? Like this nigga,
that's why
it,
I love you.
yeah, this nigga sinned. This nigga was completely reckless. This nigga did this. This nigga, and
Right.
I was so I'm watching like, and it don't take long, right? Genesis 3, it's like Adam and Eve take a L. They messed the whole thing up.
Yeah.
Genesis 4, Cain kills Abel. By
Correct.
Genesis 6, God is like, I'm sick of everybody. I'm about to drown them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Genesis 12, no, Genesis 13. Yeah,
See.
Genesis 13. Um, no, Genesis 12, Abraham lies and says
Yeah.
Sarah is just his sister, right?
Sister. Right.
And not his wife.
Yeah.
Genesis uh about 15, Abraham's laughing at God saying he gonna have a baby. Like it's like you keep going, it just gets worse, right?
Yeah. It does.
Judah in the late, like this got to be around the 30s or the 40s. Judah
Mm-hmm.
has a son,
Mm-hmm.
and the son dies, and so the
Mm-hmm.
way the laws were set up, the brother was supposed to take the wife and give kids, and
Yeah.
he pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
his pullout game, this is like the first history of the pullout game.
Right.
Like it's in the
Exactly.
Bible, right? So
Exactly. It is.
he lets his sperm hit the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
then Judah's supposed to give the other child Onan, but he doesn't do it. So old girl dresses up like a prostitute to sleep with her
Yeah.
father-in-law to have a
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
Like all of this is like
All of
right
this.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, man, I've done some stuff, but
Yeah.
hell, at least I ain't done this. So if the Bible's gonna be dishonest, then I guess I gotta be dishonest,
Right.
right? So the Bible was like my first source of like inspiration on like I guess I'm supposed to be vulnerable because this book is kind of laid out there.
Yeah.
Secondly, there was a book I read
Mhm.
called Confessions
Okay.
by Saint. Some people call him Augustine. I call him
Augustine.
Augustine.
Yes,
Augustine sounds
Augustine.
better to me. Like I'm
Me
like I'm
too.
phonetically, it just seems like it's supposed to be Augustine, right?
Augustine.
Right. That's the way it is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Saint Augustine writes this book called Confessions,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally reads like somebody stole his most personal diary and published it. Like I remember I wasn't even a third through the book, and I just thought to myself, I don't even know if I should be reading this. I feel like I'm violating this man's
Yeah.
like his privacy.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the book, I just thought, yo, this dude was so vulnerable. He was so honest, open, and transparent. This is the
Yeah.
way I want to live my life. So
Yeah.
it didn't come overnight, especially with those closest to me. But
Yeah.
I started with a therapist. And
Yeah.
I just made sure when I went to my therapist, I told them
Mm-hmm.
everything. When I tell you, I told them stuff that I never wanted to repeat to no human being ever in life.
I know.
And they just looked at me like, I appreciate you sharing that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like no, ugh,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Like nobody had this adverse reaction to like some stuff that I was so embarrassed about or I was so shameful of. They were like, yeah, well, it sounds like that happened because you were hurting at the time, or it sounded like you wound up doing that because you believed this lie, or
Yes.
you didn't know how to put this into words, and so it came out in your behavior. And I'm like, that's all you gonna say? Because I'm ready to stone me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready to take my life over this. And you talking about some, oh, that was
Yeah.
just, it seems like that was a bad day for you. And I'm like, nigga, that's it.
That's it.
And so the therapists were giving me something that the
Mhm.
altar calls couldn't.
Yeah. Mm.
And it was self-awareness and perspective.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
altar calls was made to seem like this magical kind of, if you come down here, somebody gonna lay hands on you and it's gonna zap you and you ain't gonna ever struggle with nothing again.
Ever again.
Whereas the therapists were like, all right, we're gonna make you aware of this, and now you have to choose different behavior.
Correct.
You now have a choice. You have power over this. You don't have to do this no more. I know that this is maybe the way your brain has been wired. You've habitually done some things, and so it comes easy to you. And when you're stressed or you're triggered, it's easy to go here. But now that you're aware, you can slow down, you can take inventory of your behavior, and you can make different decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I became accountable for me.
Yeah.
And it just gave me power. It gave me autonomy. It gave me control. I was no longer in this victim mentality. I no longer had this victim narrative that, oh, woe is me, I'm broken, and how can I? I'm just gonna keep on doing this and that. I had to man up in some areas. And once I got there, that's when I invited my closer friends in, my spouse in, to hold me accountable to that stuff. And they were gracious through my relapses, and they were gracious through me trying to gain control. But they was like, yo, we rock with you. We love you because we see you putting in the work. You putting in the work. Yeah. And so that's how the journey came for me. But then once I got here, Lynn, it was like, yeah, nah, I live here now. I'm not visiting
yes,
this.
You do. Yes,
I live
you
here.
do.
Yeah, this is my address.
Yeah. And so that's so good. I hear you say this all the time, but I need you to say for the people that are on and they're going to be coming back. Oh, Kelly said that's real self-awareness and perspective. It really is, Kelly. Tell the people how you define vulnerability and transparency. When you said the windows of the perimeter of the house, and then when you go inside, like, ooh,
yeah,
I literally wanted to just like throw my shoe. I was just like, did he just say? I was just like, if I could hit 10 with this shoe, I would throw it. Like,
yeah. So the we live in a culture now where words and idioms and colloquialisms that were indigenous to the therapeutic community are now out in the air, right? So like right now, everybody a narcissist, right? Everybody gaslighting, everybody's vulnerable, everybody transparent, everybody's doing self-work, everybody's being, and it's like, no, you're not doing it. You just know how to say it now, right? Like I'm learning Spanish. I'm learning with a teacher who's taking me through a grammar book. So I'm learning structure and sentences, whereas somebody using Duolingo is only learning words.
Correct.
So they're learning words on Duolingo, but if somebody strikes up a conversation, they are stuck because they can't string it together. And so therapy is where you string it all together. You can't watch a 5-minute TikTok and think you know how to deal with a narcissist. Like that's not how it works, right? So you got to do this deep work. So once I started doing the work of therapy, I understood people were using transparency and vulnerability synonymously. And I'm like, these are not the same words, right? And you know the analogy, but transparency is if I lift all the Venetian blinds in my house and I push back all the curtains, you could walk around the exterior of my house and look through all the windows and you would be able to see some things. That's transparency. It's when you just allow somebody to see through. That's what transparent means, to see through. Translucent means that it's obscured, right? It's like a frosted shower glass. You see the silhouette, but you don't see that person transparently. You can't see through and see the image clearly. So transparency is the ability to see through. That's cool. But vulnerability is when I open the door to my house. You're no longer on the exterior going around looking in every window. Vulnerability is when I open the door and I give you a tour through every room in the house. You're going to see stuff vulnerably that you're never going to see transparently. And that's why vulnerability is vulnerability would if I were to use the earth as the object lesson, vulnerability is the epicenter of the earth. It's the earth's core, right? At the surface of the earth, that's where superficiality is.
Correct.
And the reason why most people get to transparency and they go, that's far enough.
That's good.
Me letting you see from the outside in, like that's enough. Vulnerability takes humility.
Mhm.
Because now I'm gonna walk you around this house, and I didn't go straighten up first, right? I didn't go clean every room and put everything. Like I don't I don't have a model house. I actually live here. This is a
Mhm.
well lived in house, and so
Mhm.
you might find shoes in the floor that ain't supposed to be there. I got a
Yeah.
16-year-old and a 14-year-old. They ain't as tidy as the parents are. You know what I
Right.
mean? The furniture may be disheveled. Why? We live here. We're
Right.
moving through here on a daily basis. And when you're vulnerable, you're not trying to show this level of perfection. You're not trying to show this pristine image. You're walking people, you're allowing people in, and you're letting them know, and you know what, that faucet is leaking. It
Mhm.
operates, but
Mhm.
we haven't got a plumber in here to fix that leak yet. But you can still get some water out of it.
Right.
So yeah, transparency and vulnerability are two different things.
They absolutely are. And that's such a beautiful way. Like I said, when I heard you say that, I was just like, you need to say that all the time. Because so many people think just that. They say, okay, if I shared this, that's enough. And it's
Right.
like, you just got to the door.
Right.
Now step in, like walk over the threshold
Yeah,
and go in and see what's on the inside.
that's right.
I thank you for sharing it because I most times I have women for clients.
Hmm.
And there have been and there are um, male clients that I have. When I tell you, Tim, these men tell me that I'm their safe space.
Mm.
I'm like, huh? That's a lot.
Mhm.
And thank you for telling me.
Yeah,
Now let's get you to the place where your wife is your safe space. You know, your
facts.
mom, your
Yeah,
sister, your cousins, like all of them. I said, because it's good that you cry in front of me. Because when they come in and they talk, they cry.
yeah.
And then I would ask, so has anyone else seen this? No, 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 no. And
Mm.
it then that makes me sad. Not
Yeah,
because they cried,
right.
but it makes me sad because what they say and what I already know to be true for men in society, to be a protector, to be a provider, not to show weakness. Weakness is crying, weakness is saying, "Oh, I can't do it. I need some help." Like I already know that. And when they say that to me, it is so hurtful because I'm just like, when will we stop this conditioning of this is what a man is supposed to be? A man has emotions.
That's right.
And then I see that now, like remember Friday when what was his name? Day Day got his was it Day
Chain
Day?
to yeah,
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 Tay, right. He's about,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
he gonna
yeah,
cry in the car.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then everybody's
Exactly.
laughing like he gonna cry in the car.
Yep.
And that's the thing. I'm just like, but why men have to do that?
Exactly.
But because of everything you said and everything I said, because they don't feel safe.
That's right. That's
They
right.
just don't feel
And when men cry alone, they usually can't calibrate their emotions correctly. So the internalization of that pain is usually misdiagnosed by them because you can't cry and be hurting over something and have a full context of why it hurt you. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
do.
if bro goes to cry in the car, he's letting out the emotion, but that doesn't mean he has the words for it.
Correct.
So after letting out of the emotion, all you're gonna do is cap it, stuff it back down, and try to go on with life until
Yep.
you explode and have to cry again.
Cry again.
And so that's why I'm grateful for your work. I have such a profound respect for those that are in the counseling community because I promise you, y'all are the reasons why I didn't catch a body.
I understand.
Y'all are the reasons why somebody ain't been stabbed, they jugular ain't been ripped open, and 2 pints of blood then oozed out their neck in 2 minutes.
For sure.
Like y'all have kept me out of prison. Y'all have kept me from getting fired from jobs, kept me from cussing people out. Because when I get to come in and be contained by somebody that can help me
Yeah.
put my emotions into words, then I can
Yeah.
come back to my spouse, then I can come back to my kids, then I can come back to my circle with the actual words behind
Yeah.
my emotions to be
Right.
like, hey, yo, this is why I was feeling like this.
Mhm.
I know
Mhm.
that I kind of lost my temper, but I now know the reason why I lost it is because I was feeling this way. I
Mhm.
felt betrayed. I
Mhm.
felt unseen. I
Mm-hmm.
felt unheard, right? Like getting down to what it really is. Cause all of it ain't just like, no, I'm a man and I'm not going. Nah, it ain't that. It ain't that.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
mislabel stuff that we need to get right. So I appreciate y'all's work.
And we appreciate when y'all come in to do the work. Like when y'all come in and do the work, it's like, so this is what I tell my clients when they come, like the first day.
Hmm.
What a lot of time the consultation, but like the first day when you come into this space, it's like, okay, I want to know what's going on. Tell me what's going on. And then whatever. And then I say, well, this is the thing. This is your time.
Mm,
You utilize the time in the way that it needs to be used, but you will not waste my time.
that's good.
And you
Wow.
will
You
not,
sound
and
like
I
my
will,
wife.
and
Wow. You sound
I
like my
will,
wife.
and I will not let you waste your money.
That's so good.
And they're like, like all my clients, like now they like me, but in the beginning, like they all said the same thing. Lynn, oh my God, when I came to you, you were like so cutthroat. You were like, look, this is what we're gonna do, and this and this, and don't waste my time. If so, I'm gonna refer you out. And I was like, what? Was I like that? And they were like, yes, you were. But that's the reason why they're still with me.
Yes.
So
Juliet says she used the same words. You're not gonna
oh
waste my
really?
time.
At
She
all.
no, like uncanny. It's the same exact words. Y'all
Like
are not
you're
gonna
not.
waste my time.
Uh-uh. I so
Oh,
mean that. Like,
yeah.
oh, see, this is the thing, Tim, and let me tell you why I say that. Because my time has been was controlled by so many people in my life because they were seen as the authorities, and then also I relinquished. Let's be honest, I
Yep.
relinquished that power because it was like, okay, well then, if this is going to happen, then just take
Right.
control. And
Right.
so once I noticed that, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can really, like I said, off mute, really. Also, I really can say what I need. Oh,
Right.
okay. So this is what I'm going to say. You're not going to waste my time.
Yep. Yep.
And if I don't want to be around you, I don't care. I won't be
Yeah.
around you. I don't
That's
care if you're
good.
my mom. I don't care if you're my dad. Like I don't care. Like my cutoff game is so strong. And
Yes.
it's not strong like avoidant. No, it's more like
No.
I
It's
don't have to deal with
boundaried.
that.
It's boundaried.
Oh, it's boundary, and then it's like
Yeah.
beyond boundary too. It's like this is what it is,
Yo.
and it doesn't change.
Yo, you and Juliet might be the sisters in a parallel universe or something. Because if I close my eyes, I'm online with Juliet right now. This is wild. I'm like, this is crazy.
I'm so for real. Like it's like
Yeah.
why are we wasting time? It's
For
like we don't
sure.
have to do that. And like
That's
because
right.
like you said, we don't need to pussyfoot around. We don't need to be super fit. We don't need to do all that. Like it is what it is. I said what I said, and let's move on. Like my
Yep.
no is my no, and I'm like
My
okay.
yes.
And
Yeah.
so what we doing? We eating tacos because I already said no. That's all we're doing.
Yo, it's
Like
hilarious.
that's
It's so true.
it's like and that's it. Like for real.
Yep.
But yeah. So thank you for sharing it. And then I also wanted to tell you this. Men crying in the car came from my husband.
Mm,
It came from, well, let me back up just a little bit of story because I really want you to understand how special it is for you to be here today, um, on so many levels. So my husband lost his brother the month of April, and they weren't that close, but that's still that's a sibling, that's a loved one, that's still a brother. And so he's from Jersey, so we went to
mhm,
Jersey, and it was a beautiful, beautiful trip, but not the reason why we went, right? And so when
mhm,
we got back, I was like, "Hey, let's go have a date. Let's go out, let's eat." And so we're there, and I'm getting downloads from the Lord. I don't tell him, but I'm eating, and I look at him. I said, "I got to tell you something." And he was like, "What?" I said, "You supposed to speak first, because God had already
mm,
told me everything." And he said,
mm,
"Okay." And I said, um, I know I'm your safe space. I said, tell me why you think men don't feel safe. So he goes into because we're supposed to be protectors, this like everything we said, right? We don't feel safe because society doesn't let us feel safe. When we grow up, when we're boys, we say, stop crying. This and I was like, yeah, you told all that.
mhm,
Still, now I'm getting even more emotional because had already said that to me, right? And I said, yeah. So how do you think we fix that? He was like, well, we just need a space. We need a community. And I'm just like, like really about to faint now. Um, and then I said, okay. And then he says, well, what do you think? And I said, no, you got to keep talking. Tim, he kept talking. And then he said, yeah, because men cry in the car. I said, okay. And then I said, okay, so yeah. And then he said, no, men cry in the car. And then they said, but pretty much wherever they find solitude. I said, yeah. And then I got quiet and I did like this. He said, what are you thinking? I said, you got to say it. And he was like, what? And he looked off and he looked at me and he said, I didn't know you had a podcast. And I said, I do now. Tim, what you
Wow.
don't know, God had told me everything he said. God said, your podcast name is going to be Men Cry in the Car. And when my husband,
Wow.
everything God told me, I just boohooed at the table. I was just like, that's confirmation. He just told me. And I was just like, so that's where all this
Wow.
started. Because
I
when men
love
come
it.
into my office, well, I do virtual now,
Mhm.
but when they were coming to my office, I always told them, I said, I want you to be seen, heard, and supported. And they're like, but I don't feel that. I said, well, you'll have it here. So that's what
Mhm.
I say, like with after the podcast, I said, because I see you, I hear you, I support you. So you being the person that have the superpower of vulnerability and transparency, I just knew this was it's gonna be
Hey, so let me give you more confirmation. So we started a company called B-Side, right? And we're
mhm.
aggregating these voices so that we can normalize vulnerability. Do you know our reason for existing? It's literally the first thing that people see. Our reason for existing is for people to be fully seen, fully heard, fully known, fully loved, even if th're not fully agreed with.
Oh no.
That's the life. Like, because I got that at 19. It's the most extravagant gift I've ever been given in my
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
For my mom to see me on a couch with my penis in my hand,
Stroke it.
looking, yo, oh, that is hilarious and true.
And true.
Listen,
Hmm.
in front of a big box TV. This ain't no
Yeah,
flat screen. It's
right.
a big box TV. This a
With the booty on
VHS,
it. Hmm.
huh? Like
Hmm.
adjust the tracking to get the clarity of
The
the
lines
booty.
out.
Yeah,
Yes.
get the lines out. And
Hmm.
I don't know what to grab first.
Right.
I'm holding me. Then I'm like, now I gotta find the blanket or the remote. It's terrible. It's a terrifying
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So I'm fully seen in a way that most people never want to be seen, never want to
Yeah.
get caught being seen.
Yeah.
I'm heard, I'm known, and I'm still loved.
Still.
Look, nobody could tell me nothing after that.
At all.
Nobody could tell me nothing. I was like, oh no, my family, what? Can't nobody, they saw me at my worst and was still like, nah, we love
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Once I had that, and it's not that they agree, and that's why I say agreement is it's 4 out of 5. I can
Mhm.
guarantee somebody the first four. That
Mhm.
fifth one, I don't have to agree. I can fully
Mhm.
see, hear, know, and love you, but I ain't got to agree with you.
Right.
But to get those first four makes you understand, like, man, if you just saw me like that and I'm still loved, I can change.
Mhm.
I ain't got no excuse to stay like this.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And most people just need to know, like, yo, I see exactly where you are, and I may not like it, but I love you.
Yeah. Correct.
I may not condone what you do, but I love you. And that's enough to get some people free.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah. And I really hope when people watch this, they are because like yeah, I talk all the time. People hear me all the time. I get that. But to hear a man say the things that they're thinking, it was like, yo, so I'm not by myself. No, you
Nope.
never were by yourself. You just thought you were. You put yourself in that position by believing all the lies people told you, and so that's the reason why you in the bubble. Like you pop it, you can come out. Like you don't have to stay there.
That's right.
Like you don't.
That's right. That's really good.
So I want to know, just change it just a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to know who's the most influential person in your life. So I know how much you love your father. And when your father passed, I was just like, gosh, freaking darn it. To see a relationship with the father and the son so beautiful. Like I wish my siblings could have experienced that. And then
Yeah.
I see how you love on your sons. Like, I mean, Tim, I know you're not the only great father. I get that because my
Yeah.
husband is a very good father to our
Ye-
children.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so, but yeah, but like, who would you say is like the most influential in your life?
It was my daddy. Like I am me because of my dad.
Yeah,
The,
yeah,
the way I describe it is like the ingredients of the cake and the actual baking of the cake, that was done by my daddy and my mama. The only
hmm,
thing other people have done in my adult life is put like maybe frosting on it.
hmm,
And if you get really jazzy, they might add some sprinkles and write, if you got
yeah,
somebody real good that can write something cursive on it, some
hmm,
words, and put
hmm,
some candles and maybe some ice cream. Like in my adult life, some people have been able to sprinkle some stuff. When
yeah.
I tell you, Lynn, this cake was baked
I know.
in the Ross family because of Charles and Maxine Ross. I grew up with
Yeah.
my parents were the equivalent of the Huxtables.
Mm.
They were the Pentecostal Huxtables. They was tongue talking Claire and
Yeah,
Cliff Huxtable. Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so they weren't perfect, but when
Hmm.
I tell you these people had no duplicity in them at all.
Yeah.
Like my dad had a temper growing up.
Mm.
Uh, that he had a temper growing up, not like while I was growing up.
Right.
By the time I got to the place where I was aware,
Yeah.
my daddy had choked the life out of his temper.
Hmm.
It was like a badge of a dysfunctional badge of honor within our
Yeah.
Ross family. It was like, oh, he got that Ross temper.
Hmm.
My dad choked the life out of it because he was like, I don't want my sons to see that.
Yeah.
My daddy told us when we got older, he was like, yeah, when y'all was little boys, 4, 5, 6, he was
Hmm.
like, I still hadn't stopped smoking. So I would go out to the edge of the property by the fence and I would smoke there. And we was like, you lying.
Mm.
Like you've never smoked in your life. He was like, no, you never. He said, and I would come in, I'd take a full shower. I wouldn't just like spray cologne. I go
Right.
try to get that smoke, brush my teeth up.
Right.
We don't have a memory of that. And
Yeah.
he told me, he was like, yo, I didn't give up smoking because I felt some big conviction. I
Hmm.
just didn't want to be around y'all smoky. And I didn't want
Yeah.
y'all growing up picking up that vice as well. So I just stopped. He said, I stopped smoking weed, not because I don't like getting high. I didn't
Mhm.
want y'all to get involved. So I just stopped. So
Yeah.
I saw a man make decisions not off of no like, I'm doing bad and I need to stop doing bad. He made decisions just based off this ain't good for my family.
Yeah.
That's some real adulting stuff
It is.
to be in your mid 20s, early 30s, and you just like, man, you know what, that ain't a good look. I'm gonna just stop doing it. And he ain't making no excuses for it. That's the kind of man I grew up with.
Yeah.
This is the man that shaped the values that I would have. This is the man that was shaped, and he did it. We got our fair share of spankings, but
Hmm.
he never yelled.
That's so good.
Like he would just be like, I'm really disappointed in you, son. You can't be doing that. I'd be so dejected that I disappointed my dad
Yeah.
that I wish he would have just whooped me.
For sure.
Like I'd
For
have
sure.
felt better if he just whooped me. But because he just showed that disappointment, like, man, I can't even trust you. It was
Hmm.
like, nah, I can't, I gotta change. One of the biggest moments in my whole life, I think I was like maybe 17. I was 16 or 17. My dad magically, I don't know how this nigga found a way to get me a car on my 16th birthday, but he
Mm.
did it. I don't know what type of amount of overtime he had to work to pull this off.
Yeah.
I don't know if he borrowed something, but he got me a car when I was 16 in the
Mm.
hood. I don't know how that's
Yeah.
possible, but he did it.
Yeah.
Um and so he freelanced and he did photography on the side. So outside of working nights at the post office, he also did photography. He did
Hmm.
weddings and all kind of stuff. He was really good. Well, sometimes he would take the car he gave me on the weekends to go do some of his photo shoot stuff.
Yeah.
And so one day we went skating and skating was like our club at the time. You know what I mean? Like we went to all night skates, and we would go skating for 4 or 5 hours in LA. So we went skating, and unbeknownst to me, his camera bag was in the trunk of my car.
Okay.
So he was like, oh man, I left this in the back of the car. Well, he got the spare key to the car. He drove up to the skating rink, went through the parking lot, found the car, popped the trunk, got the camera bag, came back to the house. No big deal. I don't know none of this. So I get home and my dad asked me, yo, how was skating? I was like, it was great. And where'd y'all go after? Oh, we went to In-N-Out, got something to eat, chilled, and we came home. He was like, cool. He was like, I left my camera bag inside the trunk of your car. And I said, oh, okay. He said, and I came up to the skating rink and found the car and got the camera bag out. I said, oh, okay. He said, I'll trust you with anything, son, because you were where you said you would be. Lynn, the amount of love and pride that filled my heart with my daddy saying, I'll trust you with anything.
Yeah.
He didn't use these words, but it's the way that it resonated with me. Like, bro, you're a man of your word.
Correct.
You said you were going skating. You went skating, and you're accounted for. Like, I don't have to worry about. Now, here's the thing. My homies had always been asking me, hey, bro, tell your dad you going skating, but then let's go to the club. Or tell your dad you going skating, let's go to LA. How he gonna know? Yeah. And I would always be like, nah, bro, I'm not doing that. That dude tell me that statement one time. From that day to this, can't nobody say I'm not a man of my word. Yeah. And if I do give my word to something and I can't follow through, with the sincerest apologies, I let a person know I know I said I was going to do that. I'm not going to be able to fulfill that now because something else came up.
That's right.
But it was my father and just the way he raised me allowed me to become the man that I am. He showed emotion, and this is coming from, he gave me something that he never got. That's the other thing. Okay. Yeah. His daddy did not give him what he gave me. But because my daddy did his work, he wasn't able to go to therapy and do the work that I'm doing, that I have done. But he did it in a way that benefited us greatly. Right. He was a present father. He was an affirming father. He was a loving father. He was an affectionate father. He was a disciplined father. He disciplined as a father. And when I tell you, as I talk as a man now, what I realize is men without fathers have the biggest issue with the way I talk about manhood. Yeah. Yeah. Fatherless men cannot handle the way I talk about manhood because they're like, this nigga's a simp. Yeah. Yeah. This nigga trying to play to these females, nigga, you ain't gonna get none. And I'm like, nigga, I get everything from Juliet. Exactly. What are you talking about? You think I'm out here trying to get veg, nigga? Like, exactly. I'm holding men accountable for the way they live. You can't control these women. Yeah. You can only control you. And if you get right as a man, it will literally auto-correct your life. The wrong people will want to stay away from you. You ain't got to worry about trying to move your circle. They'll leave you alone instantaneously. They will. And if you got a girl that's for the streets, she can't handle no man. She gonna walk away from that dude. Yeah, she can. That's what she can handle. She can handle somebody that's ready to play games. Yeah. But a grown man don't attract no chick that's down for the streets. Yeah. A grown man can only attract a wife. Notice what I said. A grown man will only attract a wife. But a boy, he'll attract anything. Anything that the streets is offering. That's what a boy that's thank you, Holy Spirit. That's Proverbs, I think it's 6. The whole thing is about the adulterous woman. But the
Mhm.
way it's set up is I saw a young man void of understanding
Yeah.
going down her street. Only a boy goes down the street of a harlot.
Yeah.
Only a boy goes down the street of an adulterous woman.
Mhm.
A man ain't about that life.
Mm-mm. Never would he be.
Never
That was
would he
so.
be.
That is so good. That is
So
so good.
my daddy's influence on my life is the reason why I am the man that I am. That's just point blank.
Mhm. I know, and and I know. Okay, so because your dad is from the silent generation, like my parents, that generation.
Yeah.
You think about like us, Gen X, but it's like that generation didn't talk about
Woo,
nothing.
nothing. Stay out of grown folks' mouth. Children got to stay in their place.
Oh goodness, it's like, but I
Don't
got
know.
something to say.
Yeah. We were trained, and I believe always every generation is trying to course correct what the
Mhm. The
previous
previous, yeah,
generation robbed them of or did something, right?
right,
And in our case, the reason why vulnerability, we are the ones that seeded the vulnerability that people are living in now,
yeah,
because Gen X was the first generation
yeah,
to we reality TV was born on our watch,
mm-hmm.
right? We was the first ones that's like, we want to go off script and we're just going to show you who we are and however you
Correct,
judge us. So we were the first ones to be
yeah,
transparent and vulnerable, even though it was
yeah,
toxic and even though it was
for sure,
dysfunctional. We was
for
the
sure,
first ones to go off script.
yeah,
And now we've normalized that for other people.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We
I
did.
just want people to have the right context to it though.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you for that too, because you're right. That's the thing. But I did want to go back because your father didn't have it, but then he understood, like, and I don't call him give me a second. I don't
Yep.
call him so anyway, I don't know why my thing wasn't plugged in, Tim. Hold on, because that's stupid. Like, why? Give me a second.
No worries.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, I sure can.
Okay, so that's crazy. But so when I think about like how they didn't say anything or whatever, and then how he didn't receive that, but then he knew he wanted to give it to you, like, I'm gonna change this, I'm not gonna create, I'm not gonna continue these generational patterns. Because
Right.
curses, I don't like that, because curses are
Yeah.
totally different things.
Yeah, for
Like
sure they
people need to
are.
stop saying that. They need to stop saying
Yeah,
that.
they do.
And then him giving that to you, and now you are giving all of that you learned from your dad, and then what you want to show as vulnerability and transparency to your children. And so now I see your sons.
Yep.
When I tell you your sons are so mannerable and respectful, and just like how they love on you, and
Mm,
you and Juliet did a wonderful job, and whoever is part of the village, you guys did a
thank you.
wonderful job.
Thank you.
The question is, because of your superpowers of vulnerability and transparency, how have you seen that impact your children?
So, I mean, you bringing up something that'll bring tears to my eyes instantly. Okay. So, the greatest gift of the work that we've done,
Mm-hmm.
that I've done, is that I have boys that at 16 and 14 feel safe enough to tell me anything they're going through.
Exactly.
So they don't even have to be found out because they're like, Daddy, I need to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something, obviously, I found out at 19 that my parents were safe enough, but because of my abuse, I fragilized them.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Like I was like, I can't bring this up to them because I don't want this to hurt them. If I ever
Yeah.
tell them I got to keep this a secret because this will hurt them. If I
Yeah.
ever bring this up, this will hurt them. They'll blame it on themselves. I don't want them to think
Mm-hmm.
they did something wrong. It's just blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so my kids don't fragilize me.
Yeah.
My kids feel safe enough to be like, "Hey, Dad, I need to have a talk with you,"
Mm-hmm.
and their hearts are so soft that tears just start streaming down their eyes, and they'll be like, "Hey, I messed up this way," or "I'm struggling with that," and I'm like, "Buddy, thank you for trusting me enough to share it with me.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into it? Let's what lie did you believe that made you think that this would be the best solution?
Yeah.
And what made you make this decision? Did you feel fear? Like, let's
Yeah.
get to the root of it. Like, okay, you
Right.
did that, but that's not why. That's not the issue. The
Mm-mm.
issue is deeper than that. Let's go deeper. And like for them to have that, and they're 16 and 14 now, but
Yeah.
this has been my experience with them at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it
Mm-hmm.
just feels so good as a dad to
Yeah.
know that like um if my boys really got in trouble, they would actually come to us first, not last.
Yeah.
If they really felt stuck, we're not gonna be the last to know about it. We're gonna be the first to know. And it's like I'm trying to keep the environment safe enough for that to be their reality forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you definitely done. Now, anyone that is a dweller, have the B side. I got all that. Just so you know,
Thank you.
I have all that. Okay, and but they see it, they know it, they hear it, because not only do you show emotion, like not only do you speak it, you show it. So what you tell people, it's like I am not only saying I am the example, and I thank you for that, because
Thank you.
men, and there's some men, and this is why I say that, because some men that I have encountered, family, loved ones, friends, feel like if they are soft with their boys, then they're being weak. And that is the most powerful thing I think a father can do for his son, because it's like, if I show you emotion, if I let you know it's safe to cry, if I let you know that I don't have it all together,
Right.
even though you think that, this will
Right.
make you a better person.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
make you a better person.
I think we as men need to um be comfortable enough in our masculinity
Mhm.
to show the tender side. If not, we distort the image of a father
Yeah,
to our children.
yeah.
If we're always hard, if we're always abrasive, if we only show up as a disciplinarian,
Hmm.
then where do they get affirmation from? Where do
Hmm.
they get validation from? Where
Yeah,
do they receive praise?
yeah,
Right? And so if everything is a critique, well then the father's voice becomes this is the place I go to find out where I'm wrong.
hmm,
The father's voice will then
hmm,
become, this is the place where I I arrive when I need to be corrected.
yep,
The
yep.
only if mama is the nurturer and the only time daddy comes is as the enforcer,
Hmm.
then I think that all males are there to be aggressive,
Yeah.
are there to enforce, are there to tell me what to do. And so they gotta see all sides of us.
Hmm.
My kids have seen me cry. I cried a river at my father's funeral.
Yeah.
And just me starting to cry, they lost it.
Hmm.
Then we all comforted each other.
Yeah.
And then they knew, oh, I can cry at anytime I miss Papa, I can cry.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
my daddy showed me that I could cry. And that's our role as men with our children, is to show the dimensions of fatherhood.
Yeah.
There is a nurturing side to us. There is a loving side to us. There is a
It truly
compassionate side
is.
to us. And there is an enforcing side to us. There is a
Yeah.
protecting side to us. There is a providing side to us. But they need to see all of that. They just can't see the provision and the protection.
Correct.
That's not all
And
that they need from us.
that is so true. I will say this, because I know we just have a little bit of time. What would you say to the man that sees this, that stumbles upon this? Because Men Cry in the Car is the name of the podcast, but we want to get the men out of the car. Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
So, what would you say to that person that sees you on this platform?
First of all, I want to tell you that I love you and that I'm proud of you, and that as a man, God has put you in this male body to create, to procreate, to give, to provide, to protect, to defend, to build, to tear down. It is a honor that God would put us in a male body. There are responsibilities that are inherent to us. There is a wiring that is God given to us for us to show up in the world and express ourselves as an image bearer of God. And I want you to know that you're a part of that, that there's nothing that has happened in your past, that is in your present, or that will be in your future that could corrupt that destiny part, that image bearing part that God has placed on the inside of you. My encouragement to you is to not allow a negative self narrative nor the external opinions of others to thwart God's plan for your life. He loves you. He wants to partner with you. Hear me, bro. He don't want to use you. He wants to partner with you. He wants to have a relationship with you so that you can fulfill everything that he promised and planned for you before the foundations of the world. My encouragement is that you be brave enough to do your own work, whatever traumatic things you've been through in life, that from the inside out, you do your work so that you can show up and be in the earth as the most uh, healthy version of the man that God made you to be in this space right now. That's all I
Thank
got.
you for that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And one more thing before you go. I know you like
Yeah.
to ask. I like to ask your guest this. I'm going to ask this of you. I forget how you ask it, but I'm going to ask you this way. So,
Okay.
what's musing you at this moment? So, what's your
Yep.
thing?
So my muse right now is comedy. I just came back to the space after a 25-year hiatus,
Mhm.
and I really feel a burden to stand at the intersection of culture and faith and bring humor uh, and thoughtfulness and perspective to some people, so that they can understand how to just navigate this season of life. There's people are so angry right now.
Mhm.
They're so disillusioned. They're cynical. They're frustrated. Um, they're sad. They're depressed. And I'm like, you know what? I see what I see what you're saying. It is sad. It is depressing. And there's another side. And I want to I want you to think about it, and if appropriate, I want us to laugh,
Mhm.
because that laughter is how we're going to survive.
Yeah.
And so um I'm really interested in how humor can play a role in people being able to navigate very difficult parts of their life, um but not allow what they're going through to define who they are. In my set on this past Friday,
Mhm.
I did a uh, this is my first time ever saying it publicly, but one of my stories, because I'm not a joke teller, I'm a storyteller,
Mhm.
and one of my stories was about the fact that I wet the bed.
Mm.
Um, After my sexual abuse, one of the ways that my
Mhm.
body was dealing with that trauma was by bedwetting. which is very common for people that deal with abuse as children.
Correct.
But my bedwetting went from about 8 years old to around 15.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just remember all of the situations and scenarios I faced as a result of that, right? Like, don't drink you can't have any liquids after 6 p.m.
Right.
Then you get spanked for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then bedwetting actually taught me how to hide better than cheating on a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right? Like I had to, in order for me not to be punished for something that was happening involuntarily,
Mm-hmm.
I just learned to hide better. And so I get up in the middle of the night and either put a towel over the wet spot and some baby powder, or flip the mattress over to the dry side and switch my pajamas and have everybody thinking that they lost their mind. Like, I thought you went to bed in blue pajamas, but you woke up in green pajamas. And I'm like, oh, that's just you. I always had these on, right? But I peed through the first set. And so I had to, and I got good at washing clothes. Why? Because I'm going to cover up this urine, right? I wash my own sheets. They just think, oh, Tim's responsible. He knows how to wash his own clothes. Nah, I had to. Because or else everybody was gonna knew I peed in the bed, right? So
smell like a porta potty.
Exactly. So I'm very I just realized that, what was funny was when I asked if anybody peed in the bed growing up, only me and one other girl raised our hands.
Oh.
And about 4.5 minutes in, I said, I think some of y'all lying. I said, the stats tell me that it should have been more of y'all that raised your hand. I said, y'all niggas lying to me. Right. I said, we doing the poll again. Do you know over 70% of the people raise their hands?
Yep.
So I'm just trying to normalize what I do it on the pod, but laughter is like a medicine.
Yeah.
And when we can laugh at our situations and our pain and our circumstances, it just helps us to be like, yo, we gonna survive this too. And Bible says the hope deferred makes the heart sick. And I think laughter is a medicine that keeps the heart from being sick.
Yeah, it definitely is. I have yet to see one of your sets, but I'm definitely gonna do that because you're at the place in Denton.
Graffiti pasta.
Yeah, right. I was like, it's something with some pasta. I'm about to say lasagna.
Yeah. So we have 3. I'm working on the dates. I have 3 shows in November, and as soon as I got the dates for them, I'll let you know.
Okay, please do that. And so, let the people know where they can find you, Tim, because I know I found you on Instagram, but
Instagram is Upset the Gram. TikTok is Upset the Talk. Facebook is Upset the Book. I think y'all can see a trend forming with this. And then on YouTube, it's The Basement with Tim Ross. So and also on iTunes and Spotify, if you're an audiophile and you're not really a visual person, you can find it there as well. But we have the B-Side app. The B-Side app is our platform where we're normalizing vulnerability and giving every single person an opportunity to do their soul work by being fully seen, heard, known, and loved, even if they're not fully agreed with.
Absolutely. Thank you for this conversation. I know we ran over like 8 minutes. Thank you for
it's all good.
Your patience. I really appreciate you. If you can just give me a second, I want to take you down for a minute out in the live, and I want to speak to you just for a second.
Done deal.
Are you okay with that? Okay, thank you. I want to thank my special guest, Tim Ross. Y'all, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for supporting this platform. Continue to subscribe, continue to share out, because men need to hear it. Again, this place, I want them to be able to find their resources, community, like all the things, simply because it is necessary for them. And as I say all the time, men, I see you, I hear you, and I support you. Until next time.